20% by 2025, with rival GM taking over as top dog at that point. For more, let's bring in CNBC.com auto reporter Michael Wayland. Michael, it's good to have you here. And I mean, I think that even if you talk to Tesla bulls, they would concede that their market share is going to slip. So what do you think is really the discussion point around how much it will slip and how that could affect the valuation?
You know, for years, I've covered the auto industry for about a decade, and there's been this recent saying, people aren't buying EVs, they're buying Teslas. And I spoke to all the industry forecasters that kind of talk to the investors and let them know what's going to happen. And in a growth market, it's nearly impossible for a company to kind of maintain such dominance as Tesla has in the EV space. So up until this year, that saying of everyone is buying Teslas, not EVs, has been true, but it's not looking like that, as you said, going forward.
You know, I do think the sort of Volvo IPO is an interesting case study of what investors think about Tesla's competition. Volvo is IPOing on Friday. It just priced below the range. They're very forward thinking on EVs. They've done a lot of things to try to be, a Tesla-like company, and it's not paying off. They even have Polestar. I mean, their valuation at $18 billion includes a $10 billion valuation or asset, so in the Polestar front. And if you look at the things that Tesla's doing to scale in order to be able to produce more cars more cheaply, you wonder how everybody else is going to be able to keep up.
And we've been hearing that for years now, and we kind of saw a pivotal change this year with introductions of the Ford Mustang Mach-E crossover, with the Volkswagen ID4, and GM's going to have the Hummer EV pickup truck coming out later this year, followed by Ford with the F-150 Lightning next year. These are expected to be some high volume products, and that will continue to eat away at the future. And as you kind of mentioned, Tesla does have dominance, and it does have a very loyal, sometimes extreme fan base. And a lot of the other brands don't have that. Yeah, you've got GM versus Chevy, but you don't have it to this extent where they're considered a tech startup and people are adopting it for the technology, not just the brand. You mentioned Polestar with Volvo. That's obviously a newcomer. We've also got Lucid coming, and there's a bunch of other EV startups like Rivian too that are going to challenge Tesla and just kind of eat away at that market share. So I think that's really the big change we're seeing this year, is the product is actually hitting the market that's competitive, and it's coming from the legacy automakers as well as the EV startups.
So I guess, and as Musk himself has talked about a lot this year, it's a lot easier to make a prototype than it is to produce at scale. With the gigafactories that they have, the gigapress that they have, and the efforts that they're putting into maintaining profit margins and driving down prices, where are the other major automakers on that front? Are they going to be able to rapidly increase production and scale as quickly now as possible in order to capture that potential demand?
There are going to be road bumps. We saw that with the Chevy Bolt EV recalls this year, where they're recalling all of them due to battery issues. But automakers have been building cars and trucks for over a century. When you look at GM and Ford, and they know how to build at scale. Elon Musk, I believe, has said that himself as he went through production hell previously, and trying to maintain and produce and build up 2 factories around the globe that are brand new while also trying to expand your production at your current factories is a very difficult task. And it's going to have some growing pains, but the legacy automakers and the new EV startups are probably going to be right there with them, but maybe a little bit different growing pains as they're attempting to scale up their first EVs while Tesla's trying to grow globally instead of kind of just focusing on the US market.
Quick question on the upstart startups. Which one do you think has the best chance of survival in an industry that is littered with startups that have failed?
I actually talk to analysts about this all the time, and CNBC.com did a survey not a year and a half ago on what startups people believed were kind of ahead of the game when it came to this. And at the time, Nikola was one of them, which obviously didn't plan out too well. But other than that, we saw Lucid and Rivian, which are really the first 2 to really come out and produce EVs for the consumers that many are considering to be rivals to Tesla. Mm-hmm. We also have the Mustang Mach-E, which is pretty much a Model Y benchmark that they did from Tesla. So Rivian and then Lucid are kind of everyone who who everyone I'm talking with says is right there with Tesla, or they're going to kind of compete with them.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Michael Wayland. You can read the full story that Mike wrote on Tesla, and you can do it at cnbc.com. Coming up, the consumer is back after 3